Hello again there guys, Brian here, the 3 Topics Gamer, here to share with you another one of my channel reviews. This time I'll be giving you my overall thoughts on the newly released Netflix special to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This one being titled Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Once and Always. Now, like always, if you do happen to enjoy this review by the end, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to track me on my future videos. So you can, and if you have any ideas for future reviews or reactions or just rankings, let me know in the comments down below, and I will try to get them up as soon as I can. So, for those of you that are either, familiar or new to my channel, heck, I'm a fan of Power Rangers, or specifically older generations of Power Rangers. Me being a 32-year-old man, I grew up with Power Rangers. My first season was with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and, I still have a strong, passionate love, a nostalgic love for the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers show. I've all got kinds of merchandise, I have, my Dragon daggers, since, the Green Dragon Ranger is still to this day my favorite Ranger. I've got multiple books, which include, Shattered Grid, and Beyond the Grid, and Rise of Draken. As you can see in the corner here, I picked up a Draken helmet. So, going into the special, I was really excited. Now, I know that there was a lot of behind-the-scenes controversy behind this whole thing, and I can say just overall, despite all the controversy, despite the flaws that it has, overall, I had a fun time with this special. It wasn't as great as it could have been, but even so, if you're someone who, like me, grew up with the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers show, it's hard not to love this. And even though they kind of pull very heavily on the nostalgic value and adding a lot of those nostalgic elements, I still found that there was still a lot about this special that I really, really enjoyed. Now, just to give you guys a little breakthrough of the main plot of this special, for those of you that haven't seen the trailer, this takes place 30 years after the events, initially, of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers season, in which somehow Rita Repulsa has come back and has been given a new robot body. And the first thing that happens, to everyone's shock, including me, is that Trini actually gets killed. Now, this is actually to kind of play off the passing of the actual actress who played as Trini, and I believe she passed away in 2001. So this is actually to pay tribute to her passing and actually make it official canon. Unfortunately, Jason David Frank also did pass away during the film of this, and they don't really acknowledge that much, but they do kind of include some of his audio as Tommy in here, so they do acknowledge that even though the actor had passed away, his character is still very much alive and kicking. Now, after Trini is killed, eventually Rita manages to capture 3 of the Rangers, and her plan is she's going to capture several different Rangers from different teams, use their powers to create a time vortex, and then send a message to her younger self back in the 90s that she needs to kill the Rangers before they become Rangers, therefore changing history and everything that we know. And that's pretty much the main plot for this series. Now, I can say that overall, how it plays out was actually pretty interesting. I thought that the return of David Yost and Walter Jones as Billy and Zach was definitely the standout performances. I mean, even though I haven't seen these guys play these characters in decades, they come back as though time hasn't changed at all. Especially Walter Jones. I would say he was absolutely phenomenal as Zach. I mean, he looks great. He was great in his He was great in his acting scenes. He was great in his action scenes. I mean, he really, to me, was the standout performance. I thought it was nice to kind of see the return of Rocky and Kat to kind of replace Kimberly and Jason because they get kidnapped. Even though I kind of know the behind-the-scenes issues, I do think that bringing them in was kind of interesting because this special is kind of the first time we actually get to technically in canon see. Well, not really technically see. We actually involve all 10 of the main Rangers. And then eventually down the line, Trini's daughter actually takes over as the new Yellow Ranger. And I thought the actress that plays her was really, really good. And not only her acting scenes, but her action scenes too. She actually is a pretty legitimate martial artist. Now, a lot of things that I really enjoyed in this was the nod to the expanded world of Power Rangers. There's a lot of Easter eggs. There's a lot of callbacks and mentions to other seasons and other Power Ranger teams. And there's even some acknowledgement of events that are going to happen, including kind of the introduction of SPD, which, for those who actually know that the history of Power Rangers would know that it kind of leads into that. And there's definitely some nods. There were some surprising little nods to certain characters that don't actually show up in like physical form, but they're mentioned. I thought that was really nice. I thought some callbacks to things that had actually happened in Power Rangers history was really, really great. So I at least acknowledge that for nostalgic reasons, I like how they kind of kept that same essence together. I thought this is definitely a special that older fans are going to enjoy. However, there are some problems. I think, though it is nice that they want to be respectful to the nostalgic value of the old 90s show, I think that this kind of holds it back from being better because it doesn't take advantage of the 30 years of improvement that Power Rangers had gone through. Because as much as some of us want to love the original 90s show, even I can acknowledge, looking back at it now, that a lot of that was corny and cheesy. The fighting choreography wasn't all that great. The acting wasn't that great. The dialogue wasn't that great. Even some of the Megazords and how they look kind of fake. And we know that with that 30 years, each of these individual elements has shown vast levels of improvement. So the fact that they didn't take this opportunity to take that style and improve upon it, I think acts as like a double-edged sword because they want to be respectful to that style, but they don't want to improve upon it. Like if they ever decide to do like a complete reboot of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I wouldn't want it to be anything like the 90s. I would like them to update it and improve it. And I felt like this would have been the perfect opportunity to do that. And the fact that they didn't do that was a little bit disappointing. Now, I would like to point out that at the very end of the special, they hold this very, very beautiful tribute to Jason David Frank and Miss Trang, just to kind of make sure that they are remembered and they are very much missed. And I gotta admit, I did get rather emotional because it's nice to know that even though they're no longer with us, their legacy is very much going to continue. And I really hope that is the case for a lot of elements from this special. And I think that anyone who grew up with this will also get emotional too, because this despite all the craziness that goes behind the scenes with the Power Rangers show, that we always remember those who set the path. And without many of these people, we probably wouldn't have Power Rangers in the way it was. And that was something that I thought was very, very respectful and very well done. Now, overall, if I had to give this special a rating, I think that overall, I think it is a good special, but it's just not as great as I feel it could have been. There were just some elements that were holding it back. Whether or not they made these decisions on purpose because they wanted to be respectful or they just didn't have the budget is kind of questionable, but I think just given its limitations, this is perhaps almost as good as we could have asked for given the elements that they were left to work with. So overall, if I had to give Mighty Morphin Power Rangers once and always a rating, I think the highest that I could give it is a 7.5 out of 10. I think that is a very fair rating. That doesn't rely too much on me having to give it like bonus points because of my nostalgic love for it, but acknowledging that there are some flaws, there was room for improvement. But I think that they still did a good job in respecting and giving us a solid special that celebrates 30 years of Power Rangers. And I think that anyone who also loved Power Rangers when I was watching, or when they were younger, will hopefully love it perhaps more than I did, because I did have a lot of fun with this. It just some flaws that held it back a little bit much. So that is my thoughts on this 30th anniversary special for Power Rangers. If you did happen to watch it, what were your thoughts? And make sure you share them with me and everyone else in the comments down below. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you all next time.